Leading Britain's conversation. LBC with James O'Brien.
It is 11:49. I'm just looking at Blue Sky, the only social media platform I use really these days, and there is a doctor there describing a friend and fellow physician being denied access to Renee Nicole Good. Tom Schmidt, MD, MHS, describes it as a goddamn travesty and an injustice happening on our streets. The photographs he cites appear on HuffPost.com. And because, you know, these are live and unfolding events, another doctor, Prasad Jalapali, MD, PhD, has taken to the platform as well to say that I've never met Dr. Schmidt in real life, but we follow each other. And the colleague at the scene today tried to do what we doctors are supposed to do, intervene to save lives. And then there's still confusion over whether or not the ICE agents who drew weapons were telling the complete truth when they said they had their own medics. And of course, as this character adds, this doctor adds, we are all witnesses to and victims of this atrocity. And that's the mystery, really. Is it going to be another thing where alternative facts either prevail or offer up a counterbalance to the actual facts? And that is very much the mission that Donald Trump has already embarked upon. Simon Marks joins me live from Washington, D.C. Simon, I don't quite know what question to ask first, so perhaps I'll just be quiet and let you speak for a while.
Well, James, I mean, this was inevitable. I mean, there is no surprise that this has happened. The only surprise in many ways is that it didn't happen earlier. Donald Trump has unleashed on this country a military force of masked thugs who have been taking to America's streets in many instances, I mean, 9 separate instances previously, they have shot at people, shooting first and then evading questions later. This is the creation of essentially a police state here. This has been going on for weeks. There was always going to be a tragedy. There was always going to be a flashpoint. But who among us would have imagined it would take place 4 blocks from where George Floyd was murdered by police, an unarmed black man murdered by police in Minneapolis 5 years ago. I mean, this is an astonishing moment for the United States, and let me also say for our own government. If we in the UK were witnessing these events on the streets of countries in the global south, we would be intervening and condemning them. The notion that yesterday we saw, I think, David Lammy present somewhere here in the United States saying how excited he was for Britain and the UK to come together to mark America's 250th birthday later this year, while this kind of thing is taking place on the streets of American cities, beggars belief. And, you know, when you see what Donald Trump said on his social media platform last night, when you hear Kristi Noem, a woman who is only lying whenever she moves her lips, when you see her saying that Nicole Good was a domestic terrorist, it is the beginning of an effort to rewrite the events that took place in Minneapolis yesterday so that they don't have to do in 5 years' time what they did this week to the White House website relating to the events of January the 6th, 2021, the deadly uprising on Capitol Hill, and quite literally rewrite history and lie about what took place in this city on that day. It's all tied together with Venezuela, with Greenland, with the unrestrained, untrammeled desire of this president to be a tough guy, strong man. And the country, I think, is facing a real challenge now with trying to see what, if anything, can be done to stop these ICE agents and Customs and Border Patrol agents from going all over the country and terrorising and now killing innocent people.
With impunity. And I mean, that is the point. Even now, it would not be too late to say this character will be apprehended and investigated using the full force of federal law. We know that they won't, but that's the point, isn't it? It's. I mean, the lie is an invitation in many ways. It's an endorsement of impunity that January the 6th made inevitable and inarguable, but which now arrives squarely at the front of 2026.
Yes, I mean, the impunity that they have, I have to say, when one digs into it, you discover once again is one of these issues that we've all sort of assumed that these federal agents are immune from prosecution, for example, by the local police in Minneapolis, although it's not actually yet been constitutionally tested, and certainly Governor J.B. Pritzker in Illinois has authorized his police forces across that state to start gathering evidence of crimes being committed by ICE agents because he is willing to test the notion that they enjoy federal immunity. I think it's also important to underscore, James, we had a former Secret Service officer on LBC earlier today who was arguing that all this woman needed to do, you know, she was faced by police with guns drawn, ordering her to get out of her car. She just needed to get out of her car. I mean, I think it is really important to underscore...
Just so that you know,
people,
hang on, you may not know this. I don't know how he ended up on LBC, but he's also a contributor to Newsmax, which probably gives you an idea of his credentials and calibre.
Well, the point to underscore is that in communities all over the country, we have witnessed masked ICE agents refusing to identify themselves, dragging people out of vehicles. People are genuinely, even American citizens like Nicole Good, genuinely concerned that they themselves might be deported. While Kristi Noem denies American citizens have been deported, they have been. Just within the last 3 weeks, there was a woman born in Maryland whose lawyers furnished her birth certificate to the Department of Homeland Security, and she was still deported. So the notion that you can view these people as though they're, you know, Dixon of Dock Green and it's a fair cop, Gov, I'll come and help you with your inquiries, is absolutely laughable. These are masked thugs, and it's so bad that last year the FBI was reportedly preparing to issue guidelines because they were concerned that in various parts of the country, people pretending to be ICE agents, masking up, gathering uniforms, driving around in unmarked cars with blacked out windows, were using that as a pretext for committing crimes because they knew that ICE agents were behaving like that on the streets all over the country.
What will... I want to say, how is it resisted? But you know, my question is more about the media than about the politics of it. I mean, people in Trump's immediate orbit, the people with access to the Oval Office, the people who've get to interview him on a regular basis, they are part of the project. They are complicit in the lies. But what does the rest of the media do now? I mean, what is the likelihood of more echoes of George Floyd's murder reaching the front pages and the television networks of the United States now?
Well, I think it's important to underscore that, you know, even what the White House refers to as the legacy media here is subject to change. I mean, CBS News, as of now, is a pro-Trump network. I'm also bound to say it is the BBC's media partner here in the United States, and I think that poses a massive question, another massive question for the BBC, because what's it going to do about the fact that its media partner is a pro-Trump network at a moment when Trump is suing the corporation for $10 billion for defamation? I think that there's no question that in siloed media channels last night, the public was seeing different versions of this story. So obviously the channels that are pro-Trump and the propaganda networks are emphasizing the fact that that this woman, according to Kristi Noem, was a domestic terrorist, even though there's absolutely no evidence she'd participated, as far as we know, in anti-ICE protests previously. And by the way, those protests are constitutionally permitted and legal. There was nothing that she was doing that one can tell in that video that could be described as illegal, because it's very unclear why she parked her car. I mean, it looks like she may have been attempting to do a U-turn to get out of the area. I mean, certainly there's no evidence to suggest that this was deliberate strategy on her behalf. And then, of course, if you watched MS Now, as it's now called, formerly MSNBC, or the left-leaning channels here, you will hear coverage that is obviously much more excoriating towards ICE and this complex, this vast $170 billion complex that Donald Trump is building to deport 1 million people a year from the United States. In that big, beautiful spending bill that he signed into law last year, ICE is going to get more money from the US government to finance its operations than every other state and local law enforcement agency combined. That is the power that ICE is being given, and there has been a rush to recruit more agents. Many of them have been offered generous signing bonuses, $20,000, $30,000, just to bring them on board. And there is copious evidence, NBC News has done a lot of work on this, to show that these men and women are in many cases not receiving basic background checks and security checks before they go into basic training and find themselves on the streets. And if you look at what happened yesterday, that guy pulling his gun, I mean, it almost looks as though the second ICE agent right next to the car is concerned that he's about to come in the line of fire.
Yes.
I mean, this was chaos.
It's a bit
on
like
the
Fredo.
streets,
Fredo
on a
in
residential street of Minneapolis.
It is, and we shouldn't probably, I shouldn't make light of any of it because it is chilling. And we're just going to have to wait and see how it shakes down next then, aren't we? We're just going to have to wait and see how it unfolds. But you remind us that it isn't just, of course, the mad wings of what was until relatively recently fringe media, and again on this side of the Atlantic we have our own equivalents who are currently in high esteem in the White House, but it is so-called legacy media that is also falling victim to the moratorium on dissent, not just on dissent of course, but on criticism, on honesty, on decent journalism, the attempts to silence anybody prepared to speak truth to power. Simon Marks, there is no danger of you ever failing to do that, and we remain forever grateful. Thank you.